Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll go over 5 tools that you need to complete a professional brake job. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so tool number 1 is going to be the caliper piston compressor. Alright, so the one I use is from Lyle. They have the single piston compressor, and also they have a version where it's the dual piston compressor. This is probably the best tool out there to compress the piston efficiently and quickly. So it's better than using big channel locks, because sometimes the big channel locks you can't really get the right angle on them and the right grip, especially for rear calipers where the caliper is actually longer. If they have the handbrake system integrated into the caliper. So the Lyle piston compressor tool is going to be the best option to compress caliper pistons. All right, so I'll have a link in the video description if you guys are interested in purchasing that tool. All right, so the second and third tool that you need to complete a professional brake job is going to be a file and a wire brush. So the file I mainly use to clean out the caliper bracket. So where the pads are going to sit, you're going to need to clean that and get rid of most of the rust. And after that, you could put on your anti-rattle clips and put on some anti-seize if you would like. So that's one of the most crucial steps in completing a brake job, is cleaning off where the pads are sitting. And you'll know if you did a good job when going to put in the pads and they go in smoothly. If you notice that you're hammering the pads in so they could fit onto the caliper bracket, then you know that you haven't cleaned them well enough. So go back and clean that spot, install your brake pads correctly, and they should go in smoothly. You shouldn't have to hammer them in or force them in, because if you do hammer them in or have to force them in, then all it takes is a bit of rust a few months down the line, and after that your brake pads are going to be jammed, and then the premature wear is going to happen, and then it could damage the rotor as well. And also a wire brush attachment, so it's better if you get it actually on a angle grinder or a die grinder. I'll link the one I use often in the video description. So it's a Milwaukee cordless die grinder, and from what I found, I think they're the only ones that are doing the die grinders in a cordless version. So I use these in a lot of my brake jobs. It goes a lot faster when cleaning the caliper bracket. So you want to get the main chunks out of the caliper bracket with the wire brush. And after that, you could finish the job with the file and get those corners. And also the cordless die grinder with the wire brush attachment works well to clean the hub surface, so your rotor could sit flush on the hub. So I use this often to clean the hub, and after that add some grease, and after that install the rotor. All right, so now tool number 4 is going to be a caliper hanger. So these are a really simple tool. All they do is just hang the caliper out of the way. There's lots of companies that do these. They're just basically S-hooks. And all it does is you hook one side to the caliper ear, and the other side you hook it onto the strut or the spring. And it works well to keep the caliper out of your way, especially if you're going to be hammering the brake rotor off. Usually the force of the hammer and the shock is going to vibrate the caliper off if you haven't hooked them properly. So if you just tuck the caliper away and not secured it properly, then most of the time after hammering the rotor a few times, the caliper is going to fall and it could damage the brake hose, and that's what we want to avoid. And make sure you don't forget the S-hook on the strut, because I've done that a few times where I forgot the S-hook and it's still hanging on the strut, and then the customer drives away and then he's hearing a clunking noise right after I've done the brake job. So the customer could get worried, especially if I just finished the brake job and he hears a noise. So make sure you take those off. And they are metal, so if you forget them, they're going to make noise when the customer is driving down the road. So make sure you take them off. All right, and the last tool and the most important one is going to be a torch. So a map torch or a propane torch. So not all brake jobs are going to go as smoothly as you wish. So you're going to mainly use the torch to free up seized guide pins. Since to complete a professional brake job, you want to make sure all the guide pins are free. So you never want to leave a seized guide pin on a brand new brake job, because that's just going to wear out the pads since one guide pin isn't moving correctly. So the torch is a really good tool to free up that guide pin. And all you have to do is heat up the caliper bracket just a bit where the guide pin is sitting, twist it off with a vice grip, and after that it should be free. But be careful and don't heat up too much, because there's actually nothing holding the guide pin or a slide pin. I know I've called it guide pin a few times, but it's actually slide pin. And there's an air pocket inside, so if that gets way too hot, the slide pin is going to shoot out. You know, it could actually cause damage to your inner fender or wherever you're heating it. So always have it facing towards a wall and never facing towards someone. You're either doing it on a vise or on the ground, so make sure you're safe while doing that. And the torch also comes in handy when trying to free up seized caliper bracket bolts. Some manufacturers like to put a lot of Loctite on the caliper bracket bolts, and these could get really tight. So a torch is a must-have tool to free up those caliper bracket bolts, and some of them could get really tight, especially the bigger ones at 21 millimeter or 22 millimeter. So make sure you have a propane torch or a map torch to help you free up that bolt. And some cars, you'll even have the combination of the Loctite and the rust, and that's going to be the most deadly combination. So you need a minimum of a propane torch and a map torch to free those. For the front brake jobs, you could get away with a long breaker bar since you could turn the knuckle and have access to the back of the caliper bracket. But for rear brakes where you can't turn the knuckle, it's always a tighter fit, so a torch would work there, especially on some manufacturers where, like I said, they use Loctite on the caliper bracket bolts. All right, and that's going to be it for this short video. So these are the 5 tools that you need to complete a professional brake job. I'll leave a link in the video description if you guys are interested in buying any of the tools that I've listed here. All right, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like these. I'll see you guys in the next one.